Station calling. Come back one more time with the call sign, please.
Kilo Delta 4, Lima Whiskey Oscar.
All right, Kilo Delta 4, what's the rest?
Lima Whiskey Oscar /AD.
Roger, roger. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. The name is Jim, and we are located just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. Roger, roger.
Roger, Jim. And I just found you online here in the database. Yeah, the handle here is Neil, and we're located up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And you are making the trip very well, my friend. I've got you about 10 over.
Roger, Neil. And now, are you running EQ on your microphone there?
A little bit. I tried to bring in a bit more bass and a bit more treble. This is the crappiest microphone on the planet. I actually have an adapter cable ordered, and I'm going to hook up one of my 4-pin microphones once I get it. But my new 7300 ICOM came with no mic, so I had to scrounge around, and I found an old 30-year-old one from a 10-meter rig, and I desoldered a couple of pins, got them reattached, and we're at least on air.
Roger, roger. The reason I ask, it sounds just a little ringy in the upper mids. Just a little ringy in the upper mids, Roger.
Roger, appreciate that. Let me see what I can do to adjust that. If I remember where we go to do that, I will try to tweak it while we're talking here. That's not it. Yeah, I appreciate the feedback. I'll continue trying to adjust it here as we're conversing.
Roger, Roger. What's the Neil? Roger, Neil. Do you have right at the top end, at the real top end of the equalizer? Maybe punch that up, maybe 3 or 4 dB, and bring that middle down some. What kind of how elaborate is your EQ?
I've got a few choices, but apparently it only allows me. There we go. Tone control. Transmit, sideband. Okay, I've got a +2 on both the bass and the treble. Now, there's some other stuff that I honestly don't know what they do yet. You've got TBW wide, TBW mid, and TBW narrow. I guess that's the bandwidth that's going to send in each of those different areas there. You were saying to bring the treble up some?
Yeah, if you have a 3-band, top, middle, and bottom, I would take the top and bring it up and see. I would take the middle and bring it down to 0. No gain in the middle, just normal, and just go to that top end and bring the top end up 3 or 4 clicks.
All right. The only thing I can do is top or bottom. I guess it assumes middle is going to be middle. So I've brought the top up 1 click, there's another click, so we're +4 on the top now. I got the bottom at +2. How's that sounding?
All right, now maybe can you reduce the mid-range some? Leave the top end where it is and just reduce the middle?
Negative, I cannot, unfortunately. I do have compression on, and turn the mic gain down a bit to get that. That might help. So let me get out of these menus, get back to that adjustment. So this is the mic gain at 60%. This is the mic gain at 70%. This is the compression brought down to 2. It turns me at 3, bring it up to 4. I don't know which of those sounds good.
Check your frequency. You might have hit your frequency a little bit. We're on 7189.
Good call. That's why I like to hit the lock button right there, because I've done that before as well.
Okay, so let's see. Take your compression and bring it just a little bit more than what it is.
All right, so I've got the compression at 4 already. Trying it up at 5 now. How does that sound? My gain's already at 70%. Apparently we're supposed to only have the mic gain at about 30 to 50% when using the compression, but this microphone is that bad.
Roger, you're saying that it recommends more mic drive when you're at a certain compression level?
Yeah, it actually wants you to drop the mic back a ways and bring the compression up. And with this microphone, I don't think it's going to get much better. How's that sounding? Is that still good? Or let me try. So turning the mic gain up more, I don't think it's getting better. Is that overdriving?
I think you were good there just a second ago before you did anything. Go back to where you were before you ask how you're doing. You should ask how you're doing before you start the next adjustment, Roger.
Yeah, roger that, Jim. Okay, so I got the mic gain of 70 there, and the compression is at 5. How's that sounding?
I think that's real good. You're not anywhere near as mid-rangey as you were. Compression will fatten your signal up and reduce that mid-rangey, effect. So I think you've fattened your signal up quite a bit, Roger.
Roger. If that sounds good, we'll keep it there and give it a try. Just had my power up at 100%. I was playing with data earlier. First time I'd ever done that. Got onto the WSJT and made about 3 digital contacts for the first time using the FT8 protocol.
Roger there. I assume that's all digital communications?
It is down there on 7074 and 707.6 and 8 down there in the frequency band. But yeah, one of the guys told me about that, and I decided to give it a try and hooked up the USB cable to the computer, and before you know it, the computer is making the contacts for me. It's pretty easy.
Roger that. Could you explain one more time your EQ situation? Do you have a 3-band EQ or 2 top and a bottom, or how's that go?
Only a top and a bottom. Let me turn the compression all the way off, because like you said, that is killing the signal. So I'm actually turning that completely off. Now we're turning the mic gain up, leaving the compression completely gone. So how's that sounding compared to how it was before?
Well, Neil, what happens is when you turn the compressor off, your average peak modulation is reduced. I mean, you're still, with the compressor off, you are hitting 100%, but only occasionally. So you want to kick that compressor back in. That will increase your average peak modulation. Roger?
Roger. So turning the mic gain back down where we were, where it sounded better. So that's only a compression level of 2. I had it up at 5 before. How is that sounding compared to what it was?
It's still peaky. Take it back to where it was.
You're encouraging, but I turned the compressor back up to 5 there. That's how it was before.
Okay, not getting the best conditions right now, so maybe back to 4. Take it back to 4. It does definitely help your average peak modulation. In other words, I'm looking at your signal, your audio, on a VU meter. And I can see each word deflects the meter to a certain percent. And when you're not running compression, the meter is running from all the way down to the top and hits the 100% or 0 level occasionally. Whereas with the compressor, your peaks are just sitting there right at 0 very often, and that's what we call average peak modulation.
Roger that. I pushed over the audio scope on my side so that I could watch it as well. I think that it might kind of indicate what I'm doing as I'm making those adjustments as well. And I see that for most of the words that I'm saying, the peak modulation looks maxed out on this side. Honestly, the moment I get that other microphone, it's going to sound a whole lot better. So I'll just wait for that cable to ship and then continue tweaking it. But I do appreciate the advice and trying to get this adjusted so it sounds good. What's going on down there? And is it Kentucky or is it in Indiana here? Is that right?
Yeah, we're just across the river from Louisville. Just across the river from Louisville, the mighty Ohio runs between us. And I'm about 3 miles from downtown Louisville on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, Roger.
Yeah, roger that. I bet it's a whole bunch warmer than up here. We had a cold spell come back through, and we even had some snow settle on the ground, and it's been pretty chilly. I'm ready for spring, my friend. I'm ready to be done with the cold.
Roger. Where is your QTH? Where are you living?
Roger that. QTH here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So we're in the Midwest, and got the little dipole slopes north, east, southwest, so it kind of points directly down in your direction. So I hear a lot of stations in that area of the country. I'm looking at different options for that as far as antennas go. I'm looking at, a friend has a beam that he would like me to get from him, but it takes up so much space. I'm looking at these compact dipoles that can go on the tower that cover 6 or so frequency bands. MSJ makes one of them. Any thoughts on what I should do as far as that goes? Trying to add more directivity and the ability to turn my antenna to face other directions without having a massive beam in the yard.
Well, you know, I think inverted V dipoles are really neat, as are all dipoles. I think dipoles are probably one of the most effective means of radiation over a more elaborate Yagi antenna, you know. But dipoles should do you well there for sure. And what kind of power are you running there?
Just the talk power out of the radio, putting 100 watts into the dipole. The balun that I purchased when I built this dipole, so I built a 40 meter, 20 meter, 10 meter dipole. The 40 and 20 on the same wire with traps, and then I've got the fan off the bottom for the 10 meter. But I'd like to be able to talk on 80, possibly even 150 if I could build that. But I want to be able to build that compact because I don't have the space to put up that sort of advanced antenna in my where I live. So I'm looking for something a little bit more compact, but still able to get those higher, lower frequencies.
Roger, Neil. Well, before we lose the conditions, I have a YouTube page where we do QSO-VLOGs, and we have been rolling tape on our QSO here. So I'll be posting it here in the next few days if you might be interested to hear our conversation and get some thoughts about your EQ and all. We do take tracks direct. There's no mic in the room like 99% of the other QSOs on YouTube are just camera mics in the room, you know, and it sounds more like the room than it does the actual signal. So we take our stuff direct, and we go to great, care to make sure that the front end is not too hot in the receiver, so we're actually catching pretty much the best signal to noise ratio. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up our QSO-VLOG page. Right at the top of the page there will be one that has all of our QSOs in it. There's about 150 now, and if you click on that, and when that opens up, our QSO should be right at the top, pretty much just under Art Bell. Roger.
Roger that, Jim. Sounds good. I will definitely check that out.
Roger. So that's YouTube with a call letter search of Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. So, Neil, we have enjoyed it there, sir. And like I say, I wish you had like a 3-band EQ where you could roll out some of the middle and accentuate some of the top for articulation, where you could bring those S's, the syllabic range up for, articulation purposes. Roger?
Yeah, Roger. I definitely appreciate that. Honestly, though, I think it's the very inexpensive microphone I'm talking about, just not having the ability to pick up much. We'll see as soon as I hook up the other microphone how that sounds, and then I'll worry about what I can do to it, because that'll be the permanent mic. I've heard some amazing sounding microphones out there, like I believe it's the D104 and P781, things like that are good mics apparently. So I just got a static or a static mobile mic that I'm going to try first, and depending on how that goes, I may end up putting some money into something else.
Roger that, Neil. Roger that. Well, I found that condenser microphones are the best articulated and best frequency response. And so you're starting with the full spectrum, and then you can roll out or change or alter the EQ very easily. Whereas with a dynamic microphone, it is a lot more limited frequency response in the top end, and of course the top end is where your the articulation for the words is. So that's just a personal opinion, and obviously you can shape a dynamic microphone fairly easily also. So but my preference is condensers, Roger.
Roger that on the condensers. Jim, I appreciate coming back to me on the contact here. It's been great chatting with you. I'm going actually to get back to work for a bit. I've got some presentations I need to prepare. But I appreciate the time on the air, my friend. It was very informative, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Roger, Roger, Neil 3 is that away, sir. My pleasure, and we'll catch you later, and have a good day. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor.